Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and this is my King County real estate market update for July 2021. In this update, we're going to go over the stats from last month, so we're going to be looking at data from June 2021, and I'm going to be going through the numbers pretty systematically with minimal commentary because the point of these updates for me is to inform you about the market in King County. And I don't provide as much commentary here. So it's going to be a lot more mathematical as we go through. We're also going to focus on condos a little bit in this update. And I'll give you a few of my favorites or highlights from some of the other cities here in King County so that you can see some of the data that's blowing my mind. So without further ado, let's jump into the stats here. Starting at the top, new listings in King County. There are 22.1% more new listings this month than the same time last year. We also saw a jump in pending sales, up 17.7% year over year. Closed sales up 29.7%. And days on market down 50%. So for perspective, last year we saw 20 days on market in King County. This year we saw 10 days on market in King County. Now, if we look at some of the new listings, pendings, and closed sales, and we look back at last month and the month before in April, we're seeing more and more houses coming on the market in King County, which is really good for the housing market because we've really seen just a really, really low amount of homes on the market, which is why when we look at the data here and see 0.6 months of supply in King County, we go, it's kind of crazy, which is still down from last year. Last year, we had 1.3 months of supply. So it was still competitive last year, but not nearly as competitive. And I think once we get over 1 month, we stop seeing the crazy 10, 20 offers on every house, and we start to see a couple offers on some of the good houses. But it's not quite as crazy and hot of a market. So we're still quite a ways away from it, but I think we're starting to see some signs of a slowdown here. Not a massive correction or anything like that, at least from what I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis, but I am seeing signs of things slowing down a little bit, maybe a little bit of a breather in what has been a crazy year so far. We're at the midway point. It's been nuts. Now, median sales price year over year is up 19.4%, and we're looking at a median sales price in King County of $866,500, so almost $870,000. That's actually down from last month, just slightly. But if you look at the average sales price, up just a tiny bit from last month at 1.087 million. So the average is over $1 million, but that median is down below $1 million. The percentage of list price received, so that's, if you list your house, how much you're going to get over asking price, essentially. We saw homes selling 8.6% above asking price. And then if we look at amount of homes on the market, I mentioned earlier, we had 0.6 months of supply, so half a month of homes, which really just means everything's selling really fast is what that means. We had 44% less homes, 44.4% less homes on the market this month than we did at the same time last year. So just not as many homes available to purchase, which substantially impacts the market dynamics and the amount of offers on every home and everything else in between. Now, I promised to talk about condos a little bit here. There are quite a few condos in King County, more specifically in Seattle and Bellevue. A large percentage of them are going to be in the big cities. But if we look at condos, we saw a 11.3% increase in condo listings this year versus last year. We saw a 35.3% increase in condos going pending. So last year it was like 668 condos that went under contract. This year we had 904. So not very many more listings, but a lot more went under contract. In closed sales, we saw a pretty large jump. Last year, we saw 505 closed sales for condos, and this year we saw 831. And I think a lot of that has to do with COVID and Seattle and people kind of being like, well, I'm not sure if I want to buy a condo here. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of a pickup, specifically in Seattle right now, which is going to impact these numbers. Days on market, it's 19 days on market on average to sell a condo versus 10 for single family homes. So it does take a little bit longer to sell a condo. And it's specifically if you're in Seattle. Outside of Seattle, not really. But in Seattle, where the majority of the condos are, you're going to see that number skewed a little bit. Median sales price for condos is up 14.6%. So we're seeing an increase there. at $470,000. The average sales price for a condo, $569,600. And as far as like amount of multiple offer situations, percentage above asking price, about 3.1% on average in King County. And a lot of that is because we have a little bit more supply of condos. So there's about 1.1 months of condo supply, down almost 50% from last year. So there's still a lot less, but we're over that 1 month of supply. And I mentioned that maybe being a turning point, at least in the amount of competition. And that's why we're seeing 3.1% versus 8.6% over asking price. So I think that does make a difference. Before we wrap up this update though, I want to talk a little bit about some of the cities in King County that are maybe starring in different ways. So humor me as we wrap up the update. So a couple of the superstars here in King County that we're going to feature, specifically here, we'll talk about Redmond. Redmond is at 52.6% up year over year. So last month, the median sales price in Redmond, Washington was $1.41 million. So way up there and considerably up year over year, like I mentioned. Now, Bellevue was more expensive. Bellevue was at 1.65 million, which is up 44.1%. Still a huge number. But there's a whole bunch of places like Black Diamond and Maple Valley and Snoqualmie and Carnation, Issaquah, all over 30% above asking. And that's not all of them. That's just a few of them. And we're just seeing there's a pretty drastic difference, I guess, between some of the east side suburbs in King County versus some of the ones on the south end. But again, some of the south end ones, even like Maple Valley and Black Diamond, are getting huge numbers. If we want to talk about some of the most exclusive places in King County, I did that in the Snohomish County update, so I figured I'd do that here. We have Mercer Island, and Mercer Island's up over $2,070,070, and up considerably, 25.9% year over year. So Mercer Island, one of the more exclusive places, even more expensive than Bellevue. And if we want to get to the most exclusive, we've got Medina. Again, not very many houses selling here, so the year over year numbers aren't super exciting to me to share, but as far as price, $5.5 million to live in Medina was the median sales price. So crazy high prices, super exclusive neighborhood, a lot of celebrities, CEOs of big companies living in there. So if you're trying to find the most exclusive place to live in King County, those are a couple of the places that you'd want to be looking. If we look at amount of asking price or percentage above asking price, there's so many on here that are in that 12, almost 13% range. But Bellevue did win this month at 13.3% above asking price in King County. There were, again, lots in that 12% like Redmond and Sammamish and Kenmore and Lake Forest Park, some really hot parts of King County. But the hottest one, according to my stats here as far as competition, was Bellevue. If we're looking at supply or lack thereof, is kind of what I'm highlighting here. Sammamish and Duval, Covington, Des Moines, they were all down at 0.3 months of supply. So super low inventory. A lot were in that 0.4 to 0.8 months of supply range. Again, super low. But if we're looking at the ones with the lowest amount of inventory, that's what you're going to find is those cities that I just mentioned. As far as days on market, Kenmore's kicking butt at 5 days on market. A lot of the other places in King County are going to be a little bit closer to 7 to 10 days on market. Thanks so much for watching my King County real estate market update for July 2021. I hope that you found some value here in this video, and in fact, I know you did if you made it all the way to the end. So if this is your first time watching one of these updates, please consider subscribing to my channel so that you can see more videos on King County, but also Snohomish County, maybe if you're considering both, or even the Seattle housing market a little bit more specifically, as well as so much other content that I post here on this channel. So if you're new, please consider subscribing. And if you continue to follow the channel, thank you so much for your attention. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, whether that's real estate or not, I'd love to hear from you. So feel free to drop a comment or reach out to me based on one of the contact methods below here in the description, and I'm happy to have a conversation.